Hi everyone, today we're going to be taking a look at my analyzation of the student performance factors dataset. So one of the many problems in the education system is finding the reasoning behind certain academic outcomes, and this can be difficult for really anyone involved in the education system. And as we know, not all students are given the same tools for success, so taking these kinds of steps to ensure all students receive an equal or equitable outcome can help even the playing field. So my analysis aims to identify the strongest factors that influence a students' academic outcomes in a final exam. It includes several different pivot tables, visualizations, and even a VBA macro button to demonstrate the different predictors impacts on the student exam scores. So the data set I used was taken from Kaggle. It has 20 different variables that are numeric and also categorical, and each variable is a predictor of our outcome variable, the exam score. And to help me analyze the data set a little bit more efficiently, I created a few different variations of the exam score variable. One was PF score, which is whether or not a student passed or failed, and the other one split the exam score into categories. So, for example, 41 to 60%, 61 to 80%, and so on. So this is the information about all the data. As you can see, there are a few categorical variables, a few numeric variables that we use later on. So for the parental involvement versus hours studied, I decided to put some variables against each other to see how they might correlate with each other. And so as you can see, the lowest parental involvement had the highest amount of average hours studied. Although it's not by a huge margin, it might not really be correlating too much, but it just shows that there is a discrepancy in terms of hours studied. This could be explained by students needing to push themselves more if they don't have that parental support to lean back on, and vice versa for the students with high and medium parental involvement. They might feel like they can fall back on their parents' support and not study as much. And so we had similar findings with the parental involvement against average attendance. As you can see here, the lowest parental involvement had the highest average attendance. And it might not carry too much weight in determining whether or not a student attends class. It just shows that the group with the lowest parental involvement had the highest attendance. And this could mean that, similar to the last analysis, that students might feel like they need to attend class more if their parents aren't there to help them. And so to put it together, I put final parental involvement against exam score. And students with the medium parental involvement had the highest amount of both passing and failing grades. Only 17% of the students with low parental involvement passed the exam, which made it the smallest group in the table. And the most popular instance in the table was students with medium parental involvement failing the exam. Only about 25% of the students passed the exam, which might indicate there's a change necessary in terms of preparation. But there is clear evidence of an association between parental involvement and the exam performance, as the lower the parental involvement had the lowest passing rate. And you can see that here in this graph. The students with the high parental involvement were second, and they're pretty close to the medium involvement with the highest passing rate. But as you can see here, the lowest had the lowest passing rate. So then I put average hours studied against exam score. As could be predicted, the top two score categories had a much higher average hours studied, 20.17 versus 19.65, compared to the 41 to 60% score category with only 11.65 hours studied. By almost double, the 60 to 80 and 81 to 100% brackets outperformed the 40 to 41 to 60% with 11 hours versus about 19 to 20 hours. And I think the highest group could be slightly less with 20.7 versus 19.65. I think it could be slightly less because students that know 81 to 100% of the material might not need to study as students that know 61 to 80% of the material. So that could be explained by the gap there. And if we look at a wider view of the exam score and average hours studied, you see that same information with a peak around the passing area, and then it slowly goes down a little bit more as you hit that 80% range. But clearly, as you can see, the students on the lower failing grades have the lowest average hours studied. And this kind of indicates further correlation between the average hours studied, because the lower it is, the lower you do. So I wanted to take a look at the disabled student sample. So this is all the students that reported having learning disabilities. Only 668 said they do have learning disabilities, while the remaining said they don't have learning disabilities. And comparing the scores in proportion to each category, the disabled and non-disabled students performed pretty similarly. And this can indicate that both groups are getting an education that is equitable and doesn't really seem to have any jarring discrepancies or disproportionalities. So as you can see, the lowest group for the non-disabled students was the 41, and that was only 1%. I'm sorry, it was only 0.63 was the lowest group, as well as for the non-disabled students. Same thing is said for the medium category for both students, as well as the lowest category, the second lowest. And then for average attendance versus exam score, this is also quite a similar pattern. Lowest exam scores had the lowest average attendance, and you can see that bump around the 70% range. It shoots up a little bit more. And this could be the selection of students that are coming to class and studying for the course, but might be needing a little bit extra help from their education. And it's an increasing line, a positive correlation, a positive relationship here. So I put sleep hours against the average score to see how sleep hours might affect the score. And each range of hours had almost exactly the same score outcome, and only less than like 0.1% of a difference for each average hour slept, or each sleep hour. And so I felt like this variable was most likely statistically insignificant, since clearly each score is the same for each hour slept. So access to resources against exam score. Only about 30% of students reported having high access to resources, while the majority had medium, 50%. The largest group of students had medium access to resources and failed the exam, about 39%. These are the exact same findings as the parental involvement versus exam score findings. Students with the highest access to resources are most likely to pass the exam. As you can see here, 34.26% passing rate for the high access to resources, while the low only had 15. And the low also had the highest failing rate, as well as the lowest passing rate. So gender versus average score. This visualization shows the average exam score amongst both the female and the male students. Again, it had very little difference by less than 0.1. So this also indicates that gender is most likely statistically insignificant in terms of predicting. So the last visualization I did was tutoring sessions against exam score. These are tutoring sessions per month. And so there's a clear difference from the top two categories to the lowest category by over 0.5. The 41 to 60% group had the lowest number of tutoring sessions per month. And it might seem like a small discrepancy, a small number, but as the months add up during the school year, the gaps can add. So for example, a student in the 41 to 60% group would have attended only about 6 sessions of tutoring in a 7-month period, while a student in the 61 to 80% group would have attended about 10 sessions. Using all the resources available, like tutoring, can help a lot in terms of getting that score up and helping yourself out in a class. And so making sure that the students are taking advantage of these resources can really help their academic outcomes. And so to conclude my analysis, I wanted to confirm that my findings were correct. And so I ran a regression analysis to see which variables had the highest weights in predicting the exam score variable. And I looked at coefficients and p-values. So in order to do this, I needed to create 13 numeric variables based off of the categorical variables using if, then, else statements. And so variables with 3 levels, like high, medium, low, were turned into 3s for highs, 2s for mediums, and 1s for lows. While 2-level variables, like yes or no variables, were turned into 1s for yeses and 0s for no. And so the regression actually solidified our findings. So the variables with the highest weights were hours studied, attendance, access to resources, and parental involvement, while some variables with the lowest weights were, as we saw, disabilities, school, gender, and sleep hours. And so to sum up all my findings, I wanted to create a VBA macro button that a user can just click the button and after putting in all their inputs, and it'll predict their score. So each variable has a little key telling the user what to put in for their inputs. And they put in their inputs, they press the button, and the button utilizes a formula based on the coefficients for each variable that the regression analysis gave us. So if we go to the regression analysis, these are the coefficients that the formula uses to multiply and add together to come to the final conclusion, coefficients. And then it is spit out into this predicted exam score box. and it's formatted green if it is considered a passing grade or red if it is considered a failing grade. So playing around with this can kind of just show any user what each variable's effect is on the predicted exam score. And then to summarize all my findings, some challenges were formatting the pivot tables to find the best method for visualization. I had to clear some rows of missing data. I needed to closely examine the pivot tables and arrive at the correct conclusion, which can be difficult, as well as changing the categorical variables into numeric variables and ensuring that the VBA button is all up to speed in terms of calculating everything correctly and putting the output in the correct space, using the correct coefficients. And so to conclude, Excel's pivot table, visualization tools, and regression tools streamline the process of finding the strongest predictors of the exam score variable, and the strongest variables in correlation with the exam score were parental involvement, access to resources, hours studied, and attendance, while the weakest ones were disabilities, school, gender, and sleep hours. Thank you.